I'ma tell you like this. Game time.
Hi, folks, and welcome to this week's edition of The Legacy. I'm your host, Doc Walker. Each week, we take a look at the history of Washington football from old school to new with one thing in mind, and that is to win. And there's no better way to win this week, folks, than to introduce the 8-9 Cowboy killer, Santana Moss. Santa, how are you, man?
I'm good, Gemini. Thanks for having me, man. What's good?
That's right, my Zodiac brother. When I did a deep dive and to realize that you were a track guy. You went on a track scholarship to the U.
Yeah.
And you doing football on the side. I'm like, what? And I'm so you were just overjoyed with talent, and you always seem to find your niche. How were you able to balance the two?
Honestly, man, it's a great question. I give a lot of credit for me even getting into the University of Miami just from, my high school football head coach, Coach FRAZIER. I talk about him a lot. I use one of his sayings all the time when I'm speaking. So I kind of took it, but I'm giving him a light when I take it and I speak it because I know if he can't say it to the world, I'm gonna do so. But Walt FRAZIER meant a lot to me. And I remember leaving track alone in high school because I had scoliosis, something. I didn't pass the physical. And track season came around, I couldn't run because I didn't pass my physical. And football season came around, and he had a rule that if you didn't play training camp, you didn't practice in training camp, you can't play in a regular season. But I was the returning starting wide receiver. So I didn't know that rule didn't, include me. That was, I was, exempt from that rule or whatever. So I missed the whole training camp, and I came back to school. I just got cleared, and he like, hey man, I missed your camp. I miss you being out there. And I'm like, yeah, coach, man. I felt that physical. Long story short, I just passed, but I know your rule. He said, nah, you my starting receiver, and you didn't miss because you didn't want to. You missed because you had to. So he gave me a chance to get back on the team, but I had to miss 5 games. And on top of missing those 5 games, that taught me one lesson. He said, I want you in shape like these guys before you play for me. I go out there and have a great season, and then after that season over, he said, you got a lot of energy built up in you, bottled up. You need to put that on the track again. And I'm like, nah, I'm done with the coach. Me and him had some, harsh words we shared back and forth with each other just because I missed last season and I don't want to do it. He said, no, forget what he got going on. This is going to better you down the road and for our team next year. So I took him on. And man, crazy how things happen for you. I go out there and win a state championship for the first time for my school. I helped my school win their first ever state championship. And I won two events, the triple jump and the long jump. And I competed in a 4x1 also. I look back at it, I'm like, wow, if I would never did that, I would never had this experience. Took that momentum and went to my next football season and won state in football. So I think track started all that winning and just led me into school. And then, when it came time for those big schools to holler at me, no one was talking to me about football. And University of Miami had already had their eye on me with track. And the football team was like, well, if you guys gonna go after this guy, I have numerous of guys that have spoken by him from the neighborhoods who grew up with him that said he can fit with our football team. Just give him a chance. So when they told me, hey, we want you for track, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I hung the phone up. I didn't want nothing to do with that because track wasn't my thing. It was something I did because I had the gift. But then when I later went on some visits for football out of state and saw how the snow was and the cold, I came back and I'm like, I wish they'd give me the opportunity again, and they did, and the rest is history.
The Legacy is brought to you by Janet King. Let Janet King get your business back to business. Visit to schedule a disinfecting service today.
You can celebrate your lottery win lots and lots of ways, but the very best way to play is responsibly. See how to play within your limits at mdlottery.com/play responsibly. The Maryland Lottery supports Problem Gambling Awareness Month.
DC has a home for the greatest hits of all time.
That would be Michael Jackson for me.
DC's greatest hits.
Madonna.
Billy Idol. Live here.
Cyndi Lauper.
Bon Jovi.
94.7.
Blondie.
The Eagles.
The Drive.
Everything in our garage is inspired by our racing spirit. Race in for a great deal on the Honda HR-V. Only at the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event.
Free healthcare. Hundreds to more than $1,000 per month in disability compensation and tens of thousands for college tuition. These are just some of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs benefits that may be available to veterans. VA is focused on customer service like never before. Choose VA and see why veterans' trust in VA reached an all-time high. Claim the benefits you've earned at choose.va.gov.
DC has a home for the greatest hits of all time.
That would be Michael Jackson for me.
DC's greatest hits.
Madonna.
Billy Idol.
Live here.
Cyndi Lauper.
Bon Jovi.
94.7.
Blondie.
The Eagles.
The Drive.
You can celebrate your lottery win lots and lots of ways. But the very best way to play is responsibly. See how to play within your limits at mdlottery.com/play responsibly. The Maryland Lottery supports Problem Gambling Awareness Month.
Big time players step up in big games. That's all I gotta say. Big time players step up in big games. All the criticizing, all that, it's over, baby. Big time players step up in big games.
The one thing that the Washington football community, I believe you will be on the Mount Rushmore for the rest of time when it comes down to the biggest plays, the most memorable moments. And I got to take you back to Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Cowboy killer.
Yeah.
Down 13-0. Second game that you've been in Burgundy, goal. But so many things would have been game over. What kept you mentally in tune?
You know, honestly, man, just from my upbringing of just playing this game, it's not over until that clock says zero, you know, until those zeros, to those numbers run out and it says zero, game over. That's when you hang everything up. And I was always told to leave everything I had on the field. Don't have nothing that you can regret left over. Like, man, I should have used this. Oh man, I still have a little more in my tank. I wanted to leave the field every weekend or every time I played exhausted, knowing that I gave it my all, and wherever the way the ball, you know, bounced my way or didn't, I can't look back and say, well, if I'd have did this, then maybe I'd have had a better, you know, outing. No, I left it on the field, so if it bounced in my favor, we win. If it didn't, then we lose. So I wanted to go out that way every time, and it's crazy because when I look back at that game, being that it was only my second game as a Redskin.
Second game, yeah.
You know, and you know, I was sitting there just like, man, how are we not moving this ball? Like I wasn't a part of the game. And we did so much leading up to that game. I was pissed off the entire game, but being the player that I've always been, I can't be nobody else. I see all these guys talking about what they would do, how they would say. I just can't be that person. That's not me. I was pissed, like, man, you gave me all these routes to run in practice. I had 100-something plus catches. You know,
and you also are the first-round pick.
Exactly. So
for football Jets, and a play, and I had to be a little bit on you now because Washington could have taken you. Okay, could have taken all this misery out of the deal, but they opted not to. That had to be in your mind.
It's a lot, you know what I mean? But I tell you honestly, man, I was just looking to make a play. And when Portis got to me and said, man, what's wrong with you? Like, he had already looked and knew that I was pissed. And this is our second game together again.
Right.
He went and told Coach Gibbs that I was pissed off about something that we went over all week long and we hadn't ran yet. And Coach Gibbs came to me like, you want to run X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, why not? I mean, we done played the entire game and you didn't give me one shot. And so he went to it, man, and we put up 6. And all I remember from there is come to the sideline, and I wasn't even that happy. I'm just like, I got one in. And I go to the sideline, and I remember him walking back to me and say, if we get this ball back, we going back at you. And so I'm sitting there like, So now I'm watching the game from a different lens. I'm like, well, give us this ball back, because he's going to give me another shot. And, man, we got that ball back, and I remember jogging on that field like, here we go again. The second time was no question. I mean, you got to think, one of them was Aaron Glenn. And like Aaron Glenn, I had the utmost respect for, because when I came in as a rookie with the Jets, he followed me around every damn practice. He's like, I'm going to make you better. I'm going to make you right. And it's crazy because I sit back now. That's the one thing that I have in back of my mind. What if I never got hurt my rookie season? Because if you'd have saw what I was doing in practice, if you'd have saw what I was doing in practice with Aaron Glenn on me every day, folks was looking at me like, man, this dude finna take this league by storm. And I hurt my knee and I'm shelved for 12 weeks. You know what I mean? So I think back about that a lot. But other than that, Aaron Glenn, I had the utmost respect for. So just to see him across from me, being now on the opposing team, I'm like, you know what? This guy, he chiseled me into this guy who I am right now, working with me in practice as a Jet, and now I got to give him the business. So after that first one, you know, I'm like, hey, man, you know, that was a good route, blah, blah, blah. The second one was just a straight beeline post. And you know, when you got what I have in my background, I'm a blazer regardless, you know what I mean? I saw the opening. I saw the safety sitting back there flat foot, like I couldn't get behind him. And Mark Brunell, man, you know, I get a lot of credit for it, but Mark Brunell threw a perfect pass. I mean, my coach used to always tell me my coach in college told me always, after that post route, when I put my foot in the ground, take 1, 2, 3 on my third step, because you want to separate from those guys. Right. I should be seeing the ball. I should look up on my third step, and the ball should be coming. And when I tell you, I'm reliving it, and I took that step, and I'm like 1, 2. And when I peeked up, the ball was falling in my hand. I didn't even have to react.
I've seen Joe Gibbs pretty excited. Pretty hard not to see him more excited after Super Bowl victory. Talk to us about that sideline celebration, seeing all your people, your ex-teammates, your current teammates. You in week 2 with a new team. What was that like?
I was numb. I mean, honestly, because, you know, my whole thing was just like, this is what I want. You know, I want to be, you know, starting the season off 2-0. with a new team. And my whole game plan was coming into this team. You know, I remember that summer staying with Portis. When I first, you know, get traded here, I remember Portis having those long nights, those late nights. And he like, Tanner, let's go out. And I'm like, nah, man, we got practice tomorrow. And I would go lock myself upstairs in one of his guest room. And he would laugh about it like, man, like, why? I'm like, bro, because you guys just traded for me. And there's no way I'm gonna sit out here and spend my time out late, then going in here and hitting these books, learning these plays, and being the best I can be. So my mindset was a little different. You know, as a first timer here, I'm saying, this is the way you start off your season with a new team. This is the way you show those guys where you come from. Look what's going on over here. You know, this is what you could have been doing for the last 3 years.
The Legacy is presented by your local Nissan dealers.
Now it's easier than ever to play the DC Lottery. With iLottery, you can play online anytime.
We all know things are different. Keeping you safe is not. At INOVA, we ensure the safety of everyone who comes to us with safe locations, safe supplies, safe cleaning, and safe practices. You're safe at INOVA. Get the facts at inova.org/safety.
When was the last time you experienced something different? To support Black-owned restaurants.
Broken windshield, take one.
Hey guys, my windshield just got broken. I feel like I need to blow off some steam. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Blanks, there's no need to be stressed. Geico makes it easy to file a claim online, on the app, or over the phone.
Yeah, but what if I never hear back? That's gonna make me want to go, Jack.
Nope, your Geico claims team is always there for you.
That makes me want to celebrate with some fireworks. 5, 6, 7, go. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah!
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
At INOVA, COVID-19 testing of all patients having a procedure or surgery, continuous training of our team members, and thorough cleaning of our facilities are just some of the many ways we work to keep you safe. You're safe at INOVA.
Now it's easier than ever to play the DC Lottery. With iLottery, you can play online anytime.
You know, the last thing I want to say to Sean, man, is that you'll be well missed as a friend, as a brother. And I just wish you watch over this team, man, because we know that you still love us, and we know you're still gonna be with us.
You also had to deal with most gut-wrenching tragedy of all time, and then losing Sean Taylor, and going through that from the highs of beating the Cowboys, Cowboy Killer, to losing a comrade, and then making a run to the playoffs. Dude, I don't know how you, well, I know how you did it because you had to do it, but explain the feeling and what you had to have gone through. It had to be some tough nights.
What is an example of life? You know, I've been in so many different situations throughout my journey that it just seems like when something like that happens again, regardless of how, you know, it affects you, you just remember, or you think back like this is another obstacle that life will throw your way that you have to be prepared for regardless. You know, one of the things I was always told when I was younger is, and this is with people, this is just my look with people, I expect the worst, but I hope for the best. And that's just being real. That's how I live my life. So when I see a person show me who they really are, I'm not surprised, because I'm like, I'm expecting you to not be as, you know, who you're trying to be, or what you're trying to put out for everyone to see. Yeah, my dad always told me to look at things or think like a criminal. And I'm you know, as a kid, I'm like, why I gotta think like a criminal, man? He said, because people would take advantage of you. And if you don't think how people would do or what they're trying to do to you, you get caught up in the game, and then you get caught slipping, and now, you know, you as a goner. So I don't know if he instilled that in me from a young age, but now I've been on edge. I'm always paranoid. I'm paranoid about everything. People don't know that about me. I'm always watching. I'm always looking. That's been my mindset. And I think, you know, when that happened with us with Sean, I was hurt. I was devastated. But then, like I said, I tapped in and I say, this is life. Just showing me that regardless of how high you are, you can always be brought back down and understand what you're taking for granted. At the time, I was taking a lot for granted. I'm gonna be real with you. And you know, sometimes when people say blessings in disguise, I wouldn't want that, you know, blessing to come to me that way. Losing somebody as close as Sean was to us as a team and just, you know, as a brother. But man, it slowed me down a lot and helped me realize a lot of things I was doing and taking for granted. And I took that and I made sure that I say, going forward, look, I'm only human. I'm going to stumble. But going forward, I want to live with a purpose, a different purpose than what I was living with, and just know that this game is everything right now. So take full advantage of this opportunity and make sure that you can see it throughout, you know, more years than just what you had. Because mentally, man, I was everywhere. Like I was speeding through life. And even now that I'm settled down more, I'm retired, I'm starting to learn things all over again, because football was just my life. I didn't care about the outside world. It was just football. You can't live like that.
Joe Jackson Gibbs. And that's the one thing we share in common, that we both had a chance to play for him. And I've told everybody that will listen that after he started drawing them circles by 11 o'clock on a Wednesday, I knew we'd win unless we messed it up.
Yeah.
There was no way. His planning was brilliant, but his halftime adjustment game, second to none.
Yeah. Something, you know, I think back, you know, one day I'm gonna be a coach. I really do.
You should. I hope so.
I really do. I think it just, you know, I'm one of those guys. I'm all about opportunity, and when the windows open, you have to be ready. So, you know, I will cross that bridge when it's time. But when I look back at the coaches, the many coaches that has, you know, been a positive influence to the things that I've was able to accomplish in my career, I sit here and say, man, I got a chance to play with Coach Gibbs. Why was I gifted that opportunity? You know what I mean? Why me? And I look beyond, like I said, I look beyond everybody else. I was brought here in his second tenure, and I got a chance to have 05, 06, 07 with him before he hung it up again for good. And it's so many things I took from him, and I can relate to other coaches, great coaches, that meant something to my career. And one of the things that stand out the most to me, man, is just Coach Gibbs being a guy that didn't curse, very spiritual. But with all that said and done, he didn't like to be embarrassed. That's me, day one, all day. And the other thing is that he used to give us these speeches before the game, without saying a curse word, but at the end of the day, you knew what he meant. And if you didn't, look, I got cursed out one time by him without being cursed out. I remember being tired in a game, first or second game, third, probably the first couple of games of my career here in Washington, first season. So it's in the game now, and I'm exhausted. They used to run me like, boy, look, like no other. And I'm like, what you expect from a guy that's clearing out most of the time, and we run the ball with Porters and those boys. So it was third down. I didn't have no, recollection of what down it was. I was just way downfield, like I need a breather. I got my man Thrash here, and Thrash is a legend to me. I grew up.
Oh, Thrash is a monster. I love it.
I'm been on the team with Thrash. I'm like, look, I know he's gonna come in here and make a play for us. So Thrash, you got it. And I'm just that kind of guy. All my years of playing football, I shared with guys. I never had to go out there and play 80-something plays and only, all by myself.
Yeah.
I always shared the wealth. So when I saw Thrash wanting to get in, man, look, third down, you gonna make the play. I'm gonna get mine. I walk on the sideline, I see Coach Gibbs walking towards me, but I'm thinking nothing of it. So I'm like, all right, let me go down here and post up by him. And I posted up by him, and he had his arms crossed, and he said, this third down. And so I'm looking at him like, okay, yeah, I know. And basically what he was telling me is like, he better make this play because his ball coming your way.
Right.
And I swear I never prayed so much for somebody to make a play at that moment, because it went from me being tired to like, I just got chewed out. I mean, he didn't say it in a way.
He ain't got to say it like that.
I just saw the look on his face like, I want to say something else to you, but I'm going to just give it to you like this. And I remember when Thrash caught that ball, Thrash turned up about 20 yards. And I'm like, I know I could count on Thrash. And he looked back at me like, get back in there. And I say, oh. And that moment right there stood with me through the rest of my career. Even when he left, that you here for a reason, There's going to be time when you could come out the game. There's going to be times when we can't expect that much from you. But there's critical moments in the game where you have to be you. You have to be special for this team. Even if you're not getting the ball, I need you there. So I've always kept that with me just from him, just from that moment we shared. I'm not sure he even knows this, but I took that as a lesson learned. And like, I'm happy I wasn't on the other end of that lesson, because I don't know what we would have been said to each other or what would have been said to me. But I just took that as like, I appreciate that, because one, you were still yourself, but you coached me and you taught me something by not having to even say much to me. And I take that to bed with me.
Well, my friend, we will move on. And we thank you so much for your time. Love you like a brother, man. I hope that don't want to lose you on the broadcast team, but would love to see you with a headset on.
Yeah.
So whatever God has in plan, all I know is that your folks got to be awful proud of you. And thank you so much for sharing your time on behalf of Stevie and Kyle and all of us, man, to do what we do to make the legacy what it is week in and week out. We thank you for that, and we'll see you next week right here.